Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Thomas Podcast here today for the finale of Doctor Who Flux, the penultimate podcast,
Vanquishers.
and the penultimate podcast of the year is here. But how are we all? You guys need to tell me about this BFI event that you went to because I wasn't there, so I'll let you take the floor for a bit.
I think before we do that, for those that aren't viewing and are kind of listening, you need to tell them who's here.
No, I want them to do a game. I want everyone to talk and they'll figure it out. Or you can introduce yourselves. Introduce yourselves.
Well, in that case, I'll put on a funny voice.
There you go.
Hello, I'm Calvinist and I'm your little pirate.
Now,
doesn't this go out on YouTube so people will actually see who we are?
Yeah, but not everybody will because some will listen on the podcast.
Yeah.
You'd have to be a fucking moron to listen on the podcast and watch on YouTube.
And as you well know, Alex, what happens at the BFI stays at the BFI. Recollections are often hazy and stories misconstrued. And
yeah, we're not sharing any of our elite shenanigans with the listeners of the Timeless Podcast. We might make it sound we might
elite.
We might we might make it sound so exciting that they all become BFI members, and next time we're not able to get tickets.
It would be horrible for a registered charity to not get any more funding. It really would be terrible.
Yes. But
okay. I'll just say 4 words, and you can form them into your own sentence. But we'll go no further into the detail. Backs involved. Piggybacks
were involved. I'm sort of scared that I wasn't there for that. I would have loved to have been able to. I reckon I'd give Beef a good piggyback. You know what I mean?
You could definitely carry me around.
I mean, the chair would.
Yeah.
I actually knew technically give Owen a piggyback down Victoria
down
Street.
the South Bank.
Yeah.
It was a great weekend. We had a very elongated look at the extras, which was nice to see. Worthwhile set coming up. Julian Glover didn't disappoint.
There's going to be some smashing extras on the season 17 set. Just to warn listeners, if you are a fan of Douglas Adams or a fan of Bob Baker, you're probably going to want to have a box of tissues handy because it is going to get quite emotional. But yeah, it looks really good. We had a specially recorded introduction from Tom Baker. Julian Glover was on exceptional form. As with every BFI event, there were 1 or 2 questions that possibly shouldn't have been asked or shouldn't have been answered in the way that they were answered. But yes, we'll go into no further detail on that.
No further detail.
And me and Owen chuckled every time that Professor Kerensky said the word count. Much to the annoyance of the people around us, I think.
There we go. But yes, if you are on the podcast apps, I'm joined by Owen.
I hear some other people chuckling at that, though. I don't think we were the only ones.
Yeah, we weren't.
So we may not have missed it, made it home in time to see this final episode broadcast live. But we have. I've watched it at least twice subsequently.
I've watched it twice, once sober.
Well, Beef, I was told that when you first watched it, you fell asleep in the first couple of minutes and then woke up in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I was as confused then as I was the other ones. So, it sort of was a little bit of foreshadowing.
Yes. Anyway, if you aren't watching on YouTube, I'm joined by Owen, John, and Beef, and we're going to talk about the Vanquishers. Then we're going to wrap up Flux as a whole. Before we get into Flux, I'll say massive thank you to everyone that's jumped on board throughout this whole period. It's been a really it's always good to have new Doctor Who on because it means more people will join the podcast. And for something that is say 40% Doctor Who, 60% other shit. It's good to have some new content that people want to listen to, and the analytics have not been lying. So thank you very much for hopping on board.
By saying 60% other shit, Alex isn't inferring that the Doctor Who is shit.
No, God no. Yes. Now we're going to go very quickly and swiftly because there's so much to talk about. We're going to quickly, swiftly on to John's favourite part of the show, which is the viewing figures of this week's episode. Yay! John, you love this.
Is this coming? Is this coming fresh in on a telegram from Siam? Because we're back in the 19th century where these things were fucking relevant.
Yeah. The Vanquishers got 3.5 million, and as far as the Fluxes for 7 days was 4.72 million. There you go.
Yeah, I mean that would mean something if Series 14 hadn't already been commissioned.
There you go. Exactly.
Green
Yeah,
figures, it's all bollocks.
Keep crunching those numbers, kids.
Yes, Doctor Who's dying. Oh
Who's
no!
dying. But yeah, Doctor Who's dying. 3.5 million people loved it. They all switched off. No, they loved it. They all switched off. They loved it.
Right, anyway, let's get. All right, we're gonna have to jump right into the deep end.
Lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Good old statistics. I got an A star in secondary school for statistics. So
why doesn't that surprise me?
Shut up, John. But yeah.
Does this technically mean that you have a gold star for maths? Can we start calling you ad?
You fucking there. No, I only got a B in regular maths. It was just statistics, where I shone. I
got a C in maths, but I was only allowed to take the intermediate level. So it's entirely the system holds you down.
The system was against John Cook. There we go.
Yeah, they didn't mind. They didn't want a white kid from the Canning Town ghettos to be getting more than a C in maths.
Yeah. Well, John, you should.
Ideas above your station, sir.
They didn't mind it in the sort of arty-farty subjects like English, history, and French, and indeed science. But maths, they were like, no.
John, you're meant to start a revolution. You could have started a revolution, but you didn't pay enough pamphlets. So there you go. If you get that reference,
I wonder what Che Guevara got in maths.
I don't know who that is, but it still made me laugh.
It would be all about cube roots.
He looked like Antonio Banderas.
Oh, okay, right. Well, that is. I can know there is an image in my head. Okay. Well, normally on the podcast, guys, I either get the guest or myself to do like a sort of rundown in the episode, but I think with this one, we just got to sort of jump in because it's so sort of confusing and backwards and all over the place that to get one of you or any of us to try and decode it.
It's hard to talk about it, I think, without talking about the other 5 parts, considering it's supposed to be a 6-part overarching story. It's hard to, I think, not refer back to it. That's for sure.
So, I mean, as we know, we were where we start here, we were left off with Azure and Swarm have just disintegrated Tactiune. Swarm is supposedly about to disintegrate the Doctor. The Grand Serpent has also used his kind of infiltration into UNIT in order to instigate a Sontaran invasion of Oif. And, the Lupari shield has been breached and the Sontarans are flooding in. I think Yaz and Dan were stuck down in the Williamson tunnels at this point, weren't they?
Yeah.
Vinda and Diane were stuck inside the person. And Carvanista and Bell were fighting a fuckload of Sontarans on a Lupari ship. And I'll get into what I think about them later. But that's where we were at the start of this. Immediately, the Doctor just ran away and didn't get disintegrated. And the Sontarans have effectively invaded the Earth and successfully conquested, if we like. They are the Earth overlords. The Flux is still continuing to take over the universe. And I've already lost track of what happens when, so feel free to jump in, guys, on various sort of strands and bits, and the people will just have to put it all together because we had to when we were watching it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very busy thing.
Yes, yeah. I remember when I first watched it, and I was talking to my friends who the first time I saw was this. I think before we get into any particular points, for me, I think the biggest error here it's rare that I say this about a Doctor episode. It could have been longer. This needed an extra 20 minutes for me. I think
Yeah,
overall,
it just seems like there was lots of stuff crammed in, and it was just rushed into the time that it had.
I mean, yeah, at the risk, I don't want to sort of risk spoiling my view on it, but I think it needed longer or it needed less.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the first significant thing I guess to happen is that because of the fluxy things that are going on, and on second viewing, it was explained that it was because of the fluxy things that are going on. The Doctor effectively splits into three. So you then end up with three versions of the Doctor, one with Swarm and Azure in the Temple of Actune, one with Carvanista and Bell on their Lupari ship, and one who appears in the
Seed vault outside of the universe, isn't it? Yeah.
Williamson
Yeah.
tunnel.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah.
With Dan and Yaz. We get a nice little hug between her and Yaz, which will keep some people very happy. And Kate Stewart, who brilliantly doesn't react to the Doctor being a woman. You can either interpret that as, oh wow, unit, you know, she just accepts that the Doctor's a woman, or more importantly, you can just go, well, they've got a file on what happened in 1967, and she already fucking knows the Doctor's a woman.
Yep.
So yeah, we then see them kind of opening the various doors through the Williamson tunnels, trying various different sort of bits and bobs. At one point, they end up in a lava pit, and Dan kind of goes, "Hey, maybe it's not a tunnel through space. Maybe it's a tunnel through time." Which of course is correct. They drops us the variant points in history. Carvanista and Bell effectively kill off all of the Sontarans that are invading the Lupari ship. Azure has the Doctor's watch and is kind of threatening to open the watch with all of her memories in it.
Yeah.
But she basically does it anyway, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And then we see that weird looking house again.
But not kind of fully though, does he? He doesn't obviously store the Doctor's memories. The Doctor then meets herself, and we get a nice little reaction of the Doctor checking herself out in a very, I mean, people will hate me for saying it, but it was done in a very Tennant way.
Yeah, to be honest with you, very Tennant Smith, to be honest with you.
Obviously, we saw the Doctor sort of, this whole thing was very Journey's End to me in terms of what they were trying to do and some of the vibes they were giving off. I'm not saying they achieved anywhere near that level, but it
did seem like that they tried to up the scope, up the ante from where they've done before, sort of world-ending, earth-ending, cataclysmic events. This is the absolute end of the universe as we know it, and it seems to be sort of when you've punched for something that high, there's been too many other little bits that maybe should have been left out for the sake of actually fulfilling that premise. Yeah. And if you do that, you end up, instead of doing one thing really good, you half-ass the rest of the stuff. And that's where it sort of becomes flush as opposed to flux.
And this was like, I think for me, I mean, I'm going to ditch even trying to recap this because I'm out on a limb here and I haven't got a bloody, for me, this was lots of things that didn't work and a few nice things that did.
I'm very much in the middle on this one. There are some things that I love and there are some things that I detest.
So essentially you agree with me?
Sort of. I don't know whether I'd say more things didn't work than did. I don't know. I think it's very much 50-50. It's definitely one of the best finales, unfortunately, in the last 10 years. But I think that just shows the level of Doctor Who finales, unfortunately. Is this a sign that Doctor Who rarely sticks the landing in the last 10 years? Probably.
Unfortunately, it's fallen down as sort of familiar path with what has certainly been, I think, the Chris Chibnall seasons, is that the ending never fulfills the promise.
Yeah.
Which is a pity because, there have been some really good set pieces. It's looked really good. And the one difference I would say about this over the previous seasons is that, Jodie's got better this season, and that sort of carries it a bit more. The supporting cast carry the main cast, and for me anyway, the supporting cast of Carvanista and Jericho really, really lift it up, but they're let down by what they've got.
Yeah, and I think catching on to that, particularly in this episode, Jodie is fantastic.
Yep.
She is imperious. She is very much in control of the situation. It is a very doctorly performance. Whereas before, there have been times when it's felt like it wouldn't really have mattered if the Doctor and companions were there or not. I think in this particular episode, she absolutely nailed everything she was given. She clearly relished the multiple roles. Effectively, she had 4, because on top of the 2 split, she then also obviously plays the kind of alternative negative Doctor role at the end and gives a little bit of a prophecy. This was all about her.
Yeah.
And I think that worked. Some of the other elements were left a bit redundant.
For me,
and things that were promising from previous episodes, like, say, for example, the Grand Serpent, you're kind of left at the end of it going, what was the point of that?
Yeah, I think for me, the Jodie stuff in this didn't work for me. Like, not her performance. I think her performance is fantastic.
Do you think the split into 3 was a little bit of like, right, well, this is an easy fix to get to sort of do all things at once?
No, I just don't think it makes sense. I don't get it. I would get being split into 2, as it were, right? Where they're trying to get one place and then sword as you're going to keep another. But split into 3 just seemed like plot convenience, like you say. It's like, why would she go to 3 places? I'd get if she went to the tunnels or whatever and stayed there. But why is there 3? And also,
if she doesn't split into 3, how do you tie up Bell and Carvanista with what's going on in the Williamson tunnels?
That's not my problem. No,
it is because you're providing that problem by saying you don't want to split 3.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is it is a plot convenience, but actually I think when you've set it up that you've got all of these different strands that you're trying to resolve in an hour, it's the most convenient way to do it. And if you're saying, well, yes, technically, scientifically, the Doctor can split it into 2, it's a bit silly to then go, well, technically, scientifically, she couldn't split into 3.
Okay, that's not... Okay, I'm sorry, I worded it wrong. I'm annoyed that they did that because there's a lot of characters in this that do fuck all. Yeah. And I feel like Jodie being in 2 places is fine, but why is Kate Stewart here when she does nothing? Why does Vinda and Bell do nothing? I mean, Vinda, the good thing is that obviously Diane is amazing in this and she has a killer set piece, which I'm sure me and John will talk about. But Bell does nothing. Dan doesn't do very much.
I really like Bell. I liked Bell as a character. And, I'd rather have had just her than her and Vinda, to be honest. But I think if we're looking at this episode individually first and where it was left off after last time in terms of there are these 3 distinct places that need tying up, this is the only way you can do it.
Yeah, I suppose. I think Beef hit the nail on at the start where it's sort of difficult to talk about this one and not bring in the other elements of the other episodes. And for me, I just sat there and I went, oh well, she's flicking through. Like I wouldn't have minded if they were all active at once, but the fact that her head kept moving, so therefore, like she kept appeared that she was either like becoming unconscious for a few seconds or whatever. To be like, it just seemed like whenever Christian wanted to snap back, he had a device that would allow him to. Well, it didn't feel organic. It just felt like every time that the Doctor was about to do something in this location, she'd get pulled away to this location. It was like, shit.
It felt like a Deus Ex machine. Or a Deus Ex machine, I should say.
Yeah.
Which
ironically, you're going to get in the New Year special.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel. I think this is the main sort of crunch of it. It just feels really weird because I love what Jodie did. I thought, like you said, John, Jodie was fantastic throughout. That her performance was not lacking in the heights. But I just watched it and I felt nothing. So I was going, oh. And then when, like, for example, I don't know whether you guys saw this, when Swarm and Azure were like attacking her, whatever, I was like, well, there's two others out there that surely can just come and save her at any point. Yeah, like you know what I mean? Like, I felt like it was just rather all flat.
Well, yeah, it's the sort of like an issue that I had with it was, you've had this idea that there's this history between Swarm, Azure, and the Doctor, and there's a reason that they've got a psychic connection, and they fought so much over the years, the history of which we know nothing of. But then you get to the end of it, and it's sort of their interest really isn't in her. To be honest with you, it's just a case of
bringing down the division.
Well, no, it's not even bringing down division, to be honest with you, because division actually falls apart. The concept of division for me just absolutely falls apart. Because
I think it more or less just falls apart when they just kill off Tectayun.
Yeah, that's it. To be honest with you, it's sort of, they say Tectayun released Azure and Swarm, but they've artificially created the Flux to destroy the universe. So what was the point in actually releasing Azure and Swarm?
Yep.
You have this multi species clandestine organization that has Weeping Angels extraction squad that could have taken the Doctor out of existence at any point, just left her in the form of a Weeping Angel, destroyed the universe, and what's the point?
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I didn't actually get the scope of division because you just see this one teeny tiny element that just seems to be like, well, it's just an old woman with a tree.
Yeah. It feels like, I know we can all talk about this, and
a toothless tiger, really.
Yeah, it just because the build up. I even covered into episode 5, man, it was really good, and then you get it and you go division. Well, it's just a fucking room with an old lady and a nude in it, and I love a nude. Don't get me wrong,
but that's the thing throughout this whole thing. It's setting up these big things and then
nothing serviced properly. You have Carvanista, who they chase, and he gets no help at the end.
Have we even established whether all of the stuff that was destroyed by Flux is now permanently gone, or has that somehow been restored by the fact that it went into passenger and was completely taken out by all of this matter? Completely non-established. And don't get me wrong, they may cover that in the specials, who knows? But this was billed as a self-contained story. And in a self-contained story, I'd kind of like the main fucking element of it, which is the Flux destroying the universe, to at least be resolved and to know what's on. And that could have been covered in like a line, 2 lines.
Yeah.
Get retconned in the future.
A simple 5-second scene of the Flux wrapping back and everything coming back into existence. As it's getting sucked into passenger.
Yeah. It just also, John, I'm going to have to retract our lovely words of Chris Chibnall was better with the exposition this season because Jesus Christ, this episode just ripped it all back and he went straight back into his old ways of we need to do this, that means this, then we need to do this and that will do this. And it's like, shut up.
And yet somehow he still didn't fucking explain it well enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, the iteration of the Doctor at Division just sat there and was spoken at.
And I'm sorry, I've seen some people say it over the last couple of days, and I've seen some quite significant Doctor Who fan accounts say over the last couple of days that, oh, if you didn't understand Flux, you're a bit of an idiot. No, sorry, fuck off. We're intelligent people. We're fans of Doctor Who over the of decades. We've watched it fucking all. And no, to insult the intelligence of people that are going, this isn't clear, just because you're prepared to give it a pass and not actually ask any fucking questions, do one.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, yeah, absolutely. He said it.
Yeah, no, you do. Diane says that the passenger life form was emptied out. So where have those people gone? Apart from that, you know that Swarm and Azure were basically absorbing them for some form of energy to establish the psychic bridge between them and the Doctor. So basically, everyone in the universe has been emptied out. That's it. Job done. Bosh.
Yeah. And I sort of...
It's nice
but they left Diane.
It's nice to see that the Daleks have survived that genocide, though, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's what I don't get. That's what I don't get. I was going to bring that up at the end.
That's the point I'm making. It's like, what the fuck?
I'm just like, I'm sat there going, didn't they wipe him out, Chris?
Yeah, so easily have been resolved.
Right, I'll turn to some positive things, at least for me anyway. I really like, we kind of touched upon it 2 seconds ago. The ending for Diane, I really like it. I think it makes sense. I think
So do I. I'm not sure it will be the end for her. I think
I don't think it will be.
We'll get a final scene with her and Dan in the last special, or whenever he appears. But I like the fact that after this woman has been through what she has been through, she's not immediately just going, oh yeah, I'll go out for fucking steak and chips with you tomorrow night, mate. It's a lot for her to process, and she's actually taking a bit of agency, and she's going, no, not tomorrow.
In fact, it's the only person who seems to have some form of effect from this, to be honest with you.
I mean, on rewatch, I've got to say, I was a little critical initially of the stuff with Jericho where he was killed off and there seemed to be very little reaction. On rewatch, Yaz appears to be shedding a tear, but it flips so quickly to the next fucking thing that you don't even pick up on it. It doesn't have any impact. It's like if they're just stuck on that for 5 seconds, you'd have had an impactful moment there.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think I just sort of feel when you get to this that
we've not even got to what's pissed me off the most yet.
Yeah. When it comes to this, it feels like I keep saying this, that I would have loved an extra half hour here just so we can have these moments, things can be explained. Because everyone, I think this
going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it clearly, and I've got no issue stance. This is clearly 2 episodes pulled into one. Clearly 2 episodes pulled into one. And when you think that we've had a 6-episode series and we've had 1 episode which was predominantly Sontarans, 1 which was predominantly Angels, so 2 episodes that have been very Flux light.
Yep.
I wouldn't want to sacrifice one of those episodes because they're probably the 2 best episodes of this series.
Where's the time storm thing?
You want into that, but it's like if you're gonna make a 6-episode series, you could have pulled back on the Sontaran one a little bit, made it a little bit more fluxy, and got a lot of the exposition in sort of 3 and 5 done earlier and given us a 2-part finale.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, never mind the fact that it's pulling the idea of crashing a ship into the Sontaran ship again, which you did 4 episodes ago.
Yeah, it just... oh, God.
Yeah, this was, there's things that for me that are like major disappointments. The big the previous big criticisms were, where's Yaz's character development? And to be honest with you, there really hasn't been much in the way of Yaz's character development.
There have been glimmers.
I'm at the point now where I want her to stay on because I want to see her written by RTD.
Yeah.
I want some actual proper emotional characterization for this character.
It doesn't seem like Yaz is really affected by anything, to be honest with you, or changed as a respect of anything that's happened. It's just a lot of Thasmin baiting, for want of a better term, and then Dan just pulling a Bradley Walsh and saying, she's brilliant, isn't she? And you don't get any change from Dan either. Dan's not really that changed. He doesn't seem to have altered anything by the end of it. So it's sort of, it just seemed a bit redundant.
I mean, essentially, it almost felt like Dan was Yaz's companion through this rather than the Doctor's, because they spent the majority of the time together. And it's like,
there's frustration there, isn't there?
Inconsequential.
Yeah, that's it. Everything was sacrificed. For this one big thing, everything was just sacrificed for this one. Was fully explained.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. It just feels like, oh, this was a massive info dump. It just felt like he had all the cards on the table and he just fumbled them.
And just, brilliant elements. Craig Parkinson is a Grand Serpent.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Fantastic actor. Great potential for a character. Let's just dump him on a fucking asteroid.
Yep.
What I didn't notice until this episode was that, because obviously throughout the whole thing, we've seen his jacket where he's got a snake on his jacket, and then suddenly you see his feet in this episode, and he's got a pair of snakeskin boots on as well, which I thought was a great addition to his costume.
Brilliant. I mean, I hope at some point somebody goes back to that asteroid and we see him again.
Mm.
Yeah,
there's a story to be told there, and it would have been bloody better than this one.
He seemed to enjoy himself, Craig Parkinson. So I assume if the phone call came.
There's a story to be told there, and it's bloody better than this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, like I said, the more we talk about it, the more I find myself getting frustrated in a sense as well. Just going.
You've got nothing to do with the civilization that Vinder and Bell came from. Some form of big military organization that knows all about passenger lifeboats. That they've got some sort of history. That the Grand Serpent was there. He blew the whistle, but then the Grand Serpent spends a lot of time sort of twigging and messing about with UNIT to really not have UNIT serve any purpose.
Yeah, and I mean, let's face it, UNIT and Kate Stewart were effectively shoehorned into this just to bait the fans.
Yep.
Just to oh great, you want UNIT and Kate Stewart, get a reaction and then do fuck all with them.
Yeah, it's the same as what he did with Captain Jack last season in Jejune, really. It was like, well, he's around now, so get ready when he actually comes back for an episode.
And look how well that went.
Oh, God. But yeah, let's talk about those bloody Sontarans, shall we? I'm going to be honest. I had a bit of deja vu.
I tell you what, I liked them.
I thought that in this they were just absolutely hilarious. I mean, especially this scene here behind me, raiding bloody corner shops for Busy Pop and.
Right, I like them. I thought some Sarans are always meant to be a bit ridiculous because war is ridiculous. I liked it, and I liked the fact it was a bit of a curveball because it was like, oh, we've already had Sontarans, we're gonna have something else for the finale, and there they were. So yeah, I did like that element. I like the thing with the with they're suddenly addicted to chocolate, because we actually got a little bit of a rushed explanation for that about them being from a planet with a low center of gravity and something about gases, and it was like, well, you've at least tried to justify that. Yeah, I liked them.
Well, they did already have ownership of the whole Earth and access to as much chocolate as they'd like. So I'm a bit confused.
Easy bribery.
Yeah, why the sake of tempting him with more chocolate just to put 2 people in. I don't know.
And apparently it's now pronounced Routans.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm
I
surprised
feel
there hasn't been more uproar about that.
I sort of I'm
Most people
iffy on
The
this.
Sontaran,
It's like
the
the Tablet
Sontaran
3 all
episode,
over again.
the Sontaran episode in itself was good. Mary Seacole was great.
Yeah, that's what I mean though. But I sort of feel like this was just a worse version of that. In loose terms, of the Sontarans want to take over again, and the Doctor's like, no, you can't. And turns out that the Sontarans are going to use the Flux to their advantage. They don't, well, they do, and then it gets backfires on them. And I just sort of feel like we did this in episode 2. We didn't need a grand scale Sontaran story again so soon afterwards. And especially because it came out of nowhere at the end of last week as well. It wasn't like a build-up thing. It was like, oh, so the Grand Seven's working with the Sontarans now. Okay.
I think it's now because now it's been made more personal for the Sontarans because the Doctor's beaten them again. That now they just want to completely, eradicate the rest of the universe and become the bigger victors, and also take out the Daleks and the Cybermen whilst they're at it as well.
But ultimately before they die, so it doesn't make any sort of it seems like a hollow victory.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think their intention was that they would be behind the Lupari shield.
Yeah,
and obviously then the Doctor shifts the shield and genocides the Sontarans.
Well, Carbonista does that, doesn't he? Because
but pretty much on the Doctor's instruction.
Yeah,
but I don't have a problem with that because she bloody warned them in episode 2.
Yeah, I don't know. I just sort of feel like this is just a really strange finale, and I feel like everything that sort of happens, I'm a bit perplexed. Like if you told me this after episode 1 that this is how we were going to end it, I'd be like, oh, right.
I mean, there were just odd bits, like like the thing with Carvanista's inhibitor. Why would the Doctor not just go, well, hang on, can I help you with that, mate?
Yeah.
As a simple 2-second, whip the sonic out. Oh shit, it's deadlocked. But it's just left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a time bomb in your head, but don't worry, you'll be fine.
And I mean, right. This is what's wound me up most. Chibnall has created a genuinely interesting concept for a race in the Lupari. This idea that every human has a Lupar.
Or even the idea of species bonding as a whole.
That's what I mean. A genuinely interesting concept for a race or a species, how you want to put it. Generally interesting concept. And then he genocides them off screen with very little fanfare. Now,
or even seeing another Lupari, you only see one.
Yep.
Wasted opportunity.
Yep. And I think for somebody as well, like Carvanista, who seems quite strong-willed and headed, he doesn't he has 2 scenes where he seems slightly pissed off, and that's it. He has been more pissed off at Dan the whole series than he has the fact his entire race has been wiped out.
Well, yeah, but the thing is that he secretly loves humans, and that's the whole thing. That's why he's actually taking Bella and Vinda off in the end and not going, oh, sod off, I'm going off on my own ship.
Yeah, exactly.
He has this secret kind of begrudging love for humans.
Mm-hmm. Good old species body. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, it pisses me off. It's one of the elements that I went, oh, okay, we've done that. Sweet. Okay.
Yeah. You bring us these omnipotent beings called the Mori, and then you have Flux and Azure serving time as an entity. When, to be honest with you, I thought it was supposed to be some sort of personal thing behind the two, but they're just basically some mentally deranged religious zealots by the end.
Yeah, I also thought that whole.
Like
I thought
hired help.
I thought their whole thing was that they wanted to control time as well, and that time was theirs. When actually they're serving time. What?
And like, you know, the whole thing with their finale, the end for them was just rushed, just completely rushed.
You know when I said, you know, it's
like, you two fucks up by then.
Yeah,
it's like the whole story has been sort of like fucked over by being rushed in so little time. Is that, you know, you don't get enough explanation in it, and it's just so badly written the way it was just done.
Yeah, Jono, that was the thing that pissed me off the most, was the ending of Swarm and Azure. So we go back to Atropos, I think. At least that's what I think happens. And they meet time. And Jono, obviously we've done a lot of wrestling podcasts. The time as entity turns face, I guess, at the end, and just like, fuck it, you're off.
Why do you know? Because it gets quite threatening to the Doctor.
Okay, it turns tweener. It does like a Randy Orton to Riddle sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sort of Randy Orton thing going on there. Bit of a Brock Lesnar, it will kick the shit out of anyone.
But it's just
like how time sort of like changes into the image of the Doctor, and it's sort of like that navy blue coat again.
I hate that. I hate that. I love the coat and all, but it just it's one of those things in television where,
again, it just goes to show like Jodie's acting skills is that, you know, she's sort of like a bad one here and a good one here, and like the conflict between herself, you know.
And we got a little bit of a Moffat-style prophecy, didn't we?
Oh, I hate these fucking prophecies.
Why?
I hate this. Your time is ending.
It's kind of like an RTD
Are you not excited?
Are
you not excited by the forces against you? Beware the forces against you.
No, I don't care.
Coming against you, and beware their master. Are you not sitting there going, "Ooh, what does that mean?
Who is their master?" Oh no!
It's kind of like an RTD sort of prophecy as well.
We know. I mean, we know what one of those forces is, and their master isn't the master you're thinking of.
Yeah, I don't know. I sit there and go.
That's it. It's this silly, like every single time that the master said, the Doctor goes, "Master, master, master," and it's just like, oh, it's turned into a bit of a trope now.
I literally wanted to tap her on the shoulder and go, "He's probably talking about fucking Davros, mate."
Yeah. It's just, you know, I sit there whenever I hear a nude or some omnipotent being go, "Your time is nearing its end, Doctor. Your story is about to end," and turn to me. I'm like, fuck off. Stop with this bollocks. Like, we've had it so many times. Like, I hate the scenes where we have to have a scene where some being who we've already interacted with the Doctor goes, "Yeah, your time's up. Guys, remember, there's a new Doctor on the way. Get excited, everyone." It's like, oh, God.
But I think we've been very forgiving. I sort of want to say in like, well, we understand this episode is set up because there's a lot happening and everything like that. There's a lot of plot, but it just ended up being lots of plot and not much story.
Yeah.
I'm not changing the subject. I'll tell you what I did yesterday. Yesterday afternoon, I sat and I watched my favourite film, which is It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life is 2 hours and 10 minutes long. It's about an hour and a half of setup. It's 30 minutes of the main event, and it's 10 minutes of it being resolved. And it's perfect fucking storytelling. And that's what should have been happening here.
Yeah. I just, like I said,
happens to the Ood?
Oh, dead.
We don't even see him go, do we?
Very good question.
Dead, mate.
Do we know that?
Yeah, doesn't the thing between the words and Dr. Leaves doesn't you go, well, it's gonna combust and it's gonna be the end of me and all this sort, like her leaving and all that is gonna cause this to explode or something. Isn't that what he does? Doesn't he sacrifice himself? See, exactly.
No.
Azura's form just say, "Yeah, peace out. We're off to Atropos." He just
lessens
the effect of the final flux. Which, to be honest with you, why didn't they just release the final flux in the first place? Why didn't you just? I don't understand why division.
Why? Yeah.
Why? I just don't understand division. The point of it at this point in
No.
time now.
No, exactly.
The final Flux just sounds like a bloody bonus round on a game show.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I reckon you'd be quite good at the final Flux, John. I reckon that you'd like. I reckon if it was like a nomination game, I'd nominate you for whatever it would be. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this dropped the ball.
It was juggling too many balls, and it dropped most of them.
Yeah. My favorite part of the episode, though, on rewatch was my favorite part in the rewatch, though, was the fact that Vinder did not give a shit that Belle was pregnant. He was like, "All right, then."
They gave a little bit of. There was a bit of a facial reaction, wasn't there?
There was a little bit of a.
There was a bit of an oh.
Yeah, but you feel like if you found out your missus was pregnant, it wouldn't be a.
I mean, it would have been funnier if, like, after searching for each other for all this time, he'd turn around and gone, "Sorry, baby, don't do kids."
I'm going back to Miss Station.
You and your Tamagotchi can fuck off.
Sorry, baby, don't do commitment.
This Commander V Vinder flies solo.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't really know what more to say. The Sontarans get beat pretty easily. The Grand Serpent gets beat pretty easily. Swarm and Azure get beaten pretty easily.
Yeah. Joseph Williamson just toddles off back to 1820.
I don't know if any of you have seen Eternals, but I got Eternals flashbacks. Watch seeing Joseph Williamson bugger off.
Yeah, I've not. So yeah, I'll get that reference when I finally get around to watching that. If I don't forget it, which I probably will.
Yeah. It's a very similar case of Joseph Williamson, where a character just buggers off for the final act because they've not got space for him.
It all looked, looked very pretty and everything like that. So for something that was made in a pandemic, do you know what? Yeah, they made it look really good, but just everything was underserved for the sake of spectacle.
Why were we given all of this fanfare about Vinder and introduced to Jacob Anderson at San Diego Comic Con and stuff, when essentially his character has served no more purpose and probably a little bit less purpose than Carvanista or Jericho have?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which for me, those two were the MVPs of this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And to a degree, not necessarily Dan Lewis as a character, but John Bishop, whose charm has kind of
he's got a huge likability factor.
Yeah, very likable. Although, does anybody notice that at no point in these 6 episodes has Dan ever mentioned that he's a plasterer?
No.
No. But yeah,
so the one thing we thought we knew about him.
Yep. Didn't matter.
He works at a food bank and
didn't matter. And you know what? I think as well, I remember correctly, that shows how backwards the Chris Chibnall and the BBC are in terms of releasing spoilers out, because they had a go at him for saying that he was a plasterer and didn't feature in the series once.
Yeah.
They said, don't tell them that you're a plasterer.
Maybe you got fired before working at the food bank.
But no, but it doesn't feature in the series once. Like, it's not even mentioned. Like they, John and Beef said, there's not one part where he goes, "That's right, yeah, I'm a plasterer." No, nothing.
And there were probably, to be fair, there were probably points during the last 6 episodes where some plastering skills might have come in handy.
Yep.
I mean, Yaz only remembers she's a cop when it's convenient, or an ex-cop when it's convenient.
I mean, the TARDIS is falling apart at the moment, so it might need a bit of plastering.
Could have actually done with that.
Yeah, literally, Dan could have just done a bit of rendering work on the Great Wall of China. Had he, given it, he was there for 3 years.
And he's going to need a new house since it's been shrunken. So big job for him there.
I mean, walking around the Williamson tunnels, he would have been looking at the ceilings a bit like, hey, do a little bit of an upgrade around here, mate.
Yeah, and then I don't know. I think we should get to the last scene, which I really don't like. Because, like John has mentioned many times, we're talking about Thasmin baiting and all this sort of stuff. This was the peak of will they, won't they? Ugh. I don't mind the idea of them talking to each other, but the dialogue was dreadful.
An entire section of the fandom gets cock blocked by Dan. I thought. Oh my God.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
Whatever the equivalent of cock blocks is, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably.
Mr. Stew Your Girls, but no. But yeah, it feels really weird. The Doctor's like, Yaz, I want to tell you everything, which I did like the arc of the Doctor not saying shit to Yaz. I thought it was a really nice arc. But then the dialogue, she turned into like a secondary school child when going, I want to tell you now. There's a bit of awkwardness. It's like, you what?
To be fair, that does kind of tie in with little moments and elements that we've seen in 13's characterization before, where actually she is a bit socially awkward around these moments, like the Graham Council scene that everybody kicks off about on a regular basis, even like the Carvanista having a time bomb in his head thing, which happened in this episode. So it's at least consistent with this iteration of the Doctor that actually those deep emotional conversations aren't easy for her.
Yeah, which is fine and all. However, it's not an aspect of the character I particularly enjoy, especially, and I'm not going to kick off about it because
it just seems baiting for baiting's sake as well.
Yes, absolutely.
It's been put in there because as a section of the fandom.
Does it want to make you have a feeling for Yaz that you didn't have before? Because to be honest with you, it didn't sort of change the way I felt about Yaz. To be honest,
no.
Yeah, it's in the same way that, because the thing is, I still feel that Jo Martin was underserved this season. If you're going to put her in with an actual genuine purpose. But it just felt shoehorned in because she was popular, last season. And this is something that I spoke to John about, and I think I might mention to you, in the other week. The thing that frustrated me was that the end of the last season, from the Timeless Children, was it doesn't matter who you were before, it doesn't matter, what happened. It's who you are now and what you do. But then you meet the Doctor this season, and her pure focus has been finding out who she was before, and it's the driving force behind what's going on. So it's sort of like you're sort of self-contradicting at this point.
And she's still got the fob watch. She's still got it stored away in the TARDIS. That thing's going to be fucking coming out for the 100th centenary BBC special.
Keep it unless I really, really ask for it.
Yeah, it just sort of feels like, for me,
the Doctor really wasn't on a journey of self-discovery. Really,
no.
Although the one thing that having that in the TARDIS has done, it has given me a glimmer of hope that we might actually see the 14th Doctor as Jo Martin. That could be a decent device to do that. They won't do that, but it's given me a glimmer of hope.
I really hope they don't do that. But hey, I'm not a fan of the character.
She's fantastic.
I don't like I've said this before. I don't like a forceful Doctor. That's why I'm not a massive fan of John Pertwee. And sorry, John. It's I'm more a fan of the
You and John can be friends.
Do I run away now? No. It's why I'm more a fan of like the bumbling sort of Matt Smith, McCoy kind of Doctors more than the forceful John Pertwee, Tom Baker kind of Doctors. Eccleston, those sorts of Doctors, just not my cup of tea. I'm sick. Fair play.
Okay, good night.
Fair play.
Oh, I've got a background on.
Yeah, no, I don't know. And if they did it, I'd love her anyway. I was shill for this kind of shit. I'll fire. But yeah, I didn't like the long monologue either about the fob watch because it was so on the nose that it is the nose of I'll only bring it back if I need it. Well, that makes it clear that she's gonna need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it feels really like, I don't know what it is about Chibnall, because I know there is a smart man in there and a smart writer, because of course he's won many awards, he's brilliant. But it just feels like whenever he watches Doctor Who, he has to dumb all the dialogue down. So everything
is mystery boxes.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And even the stuff that he tries to make sense make no sense. Or he overdoes it. You can never find the happy medium. He either makes things way too complicated or makes things way too simple.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Yeah, there's not a happy medium to it, and that's it. The thing, it's sort of the issues I think of the previous two series could have easily been rectified.
Yeah,
just by
I'm with you on that.
And this could have been, like John has said, just leave things out and focus on the big plot points.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, with certain things, just an extra line, an extra 5 seconds in a scene. You know, certain little things that will give you the emotional impact that you're looking for certain characters from a finale, to show you that actually things matter, that Jericho's death matters to the people that have travelled with him for 3 years.
Yeah, it just overall feels like it's flat on its face. But I think overall we've talked about everything. I'm going to wrap my thoughts up.
There was one thing. So I like the thing at the end with because you had Kate Stewart, Claire Brown, and Doctor, and Kate turns around to the Doctor and says, "Do you know, I like this new regeneration of yours. I hope I get to meet it again." I thought that was nice.
But that's just basic as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's put in there to bait the fans as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to get the Doctor and Kate Stewart.
Yeah.
Kate Stewart, who pretty much every story she's been in hasn't done a great deal.
Yeah. It just makes it.
That was good.
I think maybe they're just all baiting that they're going to bring them back to the finale or something.
You had people with snake tattoos all the way through Unit, but why?
What did it mean? Nothing, apparently. But yeah, again, that's what I know. It's a nice character trait of Kate, and we all love Kate. But again, that was one of those lines that it was so on the nose that it was the nose again. It's sort of like, well, we know that she's coming back then. Same thing with that's why I really don't like the John Barrowman scene for Future of the Doom, because I liked it when I first watched it, because I was like, holy shit. But then when you actually look at the dialogue, he's just building up to when he's coming back later on. It's like, well, cheers, Jeff. We'll see you in a few months. You know, you don't have to write it that way. You could bring them in and not mention they're coming back. So when they do come back, it's actually a genuine surprise. And you're like, oh shit, we're getting another story with Kate and 13. I don't think you need those lines of dialogue in there to make them go, well, guys, watch our specials next year, because I'm going to come back.
But getting another story with Kate and 13 only matters if Kate's relevant, if she does something. And to this, there was no fucking point.
Nope, I'm with you on that. Absolutely. Yeah, it seems everything was.
Not convinced that there'd be a point if she came back.
Nope. No. But...
after the first 4 episodes, I was so pumped. I was so excited. I really wanted this to land and end well. And it disappointed me. And I'm disappointed with myself for believing in it. Because after the last couple of series, I should have fucking known. Mic drop.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Well, on that note, I will go from left to right on my screen and allow people to do their Flux full dives, and then we can all give it a rating out of 10 overall, I think. So, Owen, you're on the top left. Flux overall, what do you make of it?
I will give it a 7 out of 10. I think that's generous.
Yeah, possibly. What about yourself, Jono?
As an overall self-contained series, I can't go higher than a 7. And the Angels and Santaran episodes are dragging that up.
Yeah. Beef.
Like I said before, it's spectacle over substance with nothing resolved. It falls down the same avenue that unfortunately Chris Chibnall has done for the previous 2 series, and needs, as we've said before, some form of script editor. The best episode for me was The Village of the Angels, which was written by someone else. Maybe just, we saw what happened with Class when one person wrote the whole season. And I would have thought, to be honest with you, during lockdown, he could have ironed all these points out, and said to someone, would you mind casting an eye over this? Tell me what you think. Because I think any normal person going across the whole story would have picked out these points and said, maybe sew this up a little bit better, because they sold us, like John said, on it being a fully self-contained thing, and it didn't deliver. I'm sort of torn between a 5.5 and a 6. I may edge it to the 6 purely because it was something different with the Angels. Covenista and Jericho were the standouts on this.
Yeah. I'm gonna go 7.5. I think I agree with most of what you're saying. I think it has delivered some of the best individual episodes in Who for the last decade, in the Angels and the Santaran one. I'm even a big fan of the episode. I'm episode 1. But yeah, overall, I think the ending's important, and it dropped the ball with it. I left feeling empty. I left going, you what? And I'm sort of confused because he's written himself into a corner about how everything's wiped out, yet Daleks exist apparently still. Right, cool. Fabulous. So yeah, only go 6.5, I think. With overall reflection. It's a shame because I wanted it to work. We all did. We were screaming from the rafters about positivity for the first 4 weeks. There was nothing but that from us. And it's a shame.
For me, it kind of feels like it's been sort of like left open, like it's just carrying on into the next few episodes, like as if the series hasn't finished.
But it's a self-contained story. That's how it was sold.
Yeah.
And people were accepting and allowing for bits where it dragged for the purposes of, well, you're setting up something that's very big. So it's engendered a lot of bonhomie from fans saying, no, we're willing to overlook this or that, and then you get to the end because you think, well, I'm taking one for the team because I know the end is going to be worthwhile, and then you don't. People, understandably, going to be a little bit hacked off.
Yeah,
very, very.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up though today, and before I say thank you to our lovely guests, I'm going to give you a schedule as to what's happening for the rest of the podcast, because we are entering the month of December, and I want a break because I'm tired and I want to enjoy Christmas. So there will be a Christmas Day podcast, and then I will return on January the 2nd, probably with a review of Eve of the Daleks with someone. I don't know who it is yet. It could be any of these lovely faces. Could be multiple faces. Who knows? But okay, Jono is, I think, nominating himself. There you go, Jono. It's always good to Jono. But yes, that's been the schedule for that. The podcast will take a break, and then we'll be going back into the Marvel stuff. So Beef and I we'll get around to Owen and the Wasp at some point, and all this, and we'll wrap it all up, get to Endgame and stuff. And then there will be another series on the web that me and John have an idea of what that will be as well. It's exciting for me, probably more than John, because it's kind of new to me, sort of.
It's exciting for me too.
So yeah, that's the schedule, guys. But I just want to say a massive thank you for all your work. These guys here are the listeners that have took part in this Flux event, because it's been big for me, and it's kind of been the first time properly in the podcast where there's been Doctor Who on the telly.
And I genuinely, sincerely mean this, listeners. I hope you enjoyed it more than I did.
Yeah. It sounds like we're being overall negative, but it's just, you just have to call it how you see it. If you enjoyed it, then that's fine.
Yeah,
Everyone's free to,
Never got a problem with somebody enjoying something that I don't.
No, absolutely. And it might be one of those things where over time we look back on. Yeah.
and actually, to be honest,
And all
Actually,
your
yeah.
opinions are worse than
Actually,
the
to be honest,
IMDb.
if you did enjoy it, don't have a problem with people who didn't, because where's the issue? You enjoyed it. You won.
Yeah, exactly.
Just don't be a dick on social media.
Yeah.
Don't be a dick on social media.
Don't be
Absolutely.
shitting on people.
God, you should be doing that anyway, Owen.
Not unless they really,
Metaphorically, not
not
physically.
not unless they pay you to.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much. You can follow Owen on Twitter and Instagram at Dr. Disco 63. Is that correct? See, I know my
Yes.
friends. You can follow John on Twitter at JohnBoy_Cook and on Instagram at JohnBoyCook. Is that correct?
I checked. The underscore is on Instagram too.
Okay, so both Instagram, Twitter, and you can follow Beef on Twitter at the Beefhead because he puts it in his bio. Random tweets that come to my head or something. I don't know. Whenever Beef's Twitter, there's always some kind of meme or something. Or...
I think the general term is I suffered many head injuries as a child, but with no lasting after effects.
Yes.
Obviously, don't forget to get your Christmas goodies, your Doctor Who Christmas goodies from the Who shop.
Don't do your own sponsor thing. That's my job.
Cheeky fucker.
Yeah.
What have we learned? Come on here to plug his work.
As we reach the end of another season of Doctor Who, what have we learned? Well, we've learned that Owen is a shameless self-publicist.
What an absolute whore.
Yeah, don't shop at the Who shop. What's the point? You see what they say and they employ. They just employ shills. No, dude, they're lovely. Always a
Would you
And
buy
we've just celebrated 37 years of the Who shop.
Would you buy a used car from this man?
No,
no, because he works at the Who shop.
Jesus Christ. You can make sure you can follow
more stock than a passenger. Yeah.
Oh God. And you can follow the podcast at the Timers Pods on Twitter and Instagram. But all four of us will be back on Christmas Day with the Christmas edition of the podcast, where there'll be games, drinking, lots of drinking, and other things as well. We'll also be nominating our cunts of the year.
Seasonal frivolities.
And Alex is actually making us record it on Christmas Day. He's literally threatening us and telling us to take 3 hours out of our family time on Christmas Day with guns to our heads and making us record it live for you, listeners. So tune in and enjoy. He's out over.
It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. Yeah, evil overall.
Got his finger on the airlock button. Yeah.
But no, thank you guys all so very much. Take care. Have a good Christmas, and we'll see you soon.
Nightmares do sleep well.
Yeah,
Don't have nightmares.
Oh yeah, that's my line.
Stop stealing shit. We found out that Owen's just a bit of a. We don't know what it.
A thief, a shill, an absolute spiv.
And on that note,
sleep well.